Hello everyone, you're welcome to my channel. This is tech.sam. If you're coming across my channel for the first time, in tech.sam, I discuss everything DevOps, I discuss everything cloud computing and tech in general. So today we are going to start up our 100 days of DevOps. I know we ought to have started this since on the 7th of July, which I earlier stated. However, I had a little setback with my health, which took me away from the screen for a while. But I'm feeling much better now, and I am so glad and so happy to finally be able to begin with this challenge. So, today we are going to be setting up everything that we will need. We're going to be installing all the necessary things that we will need for this challenge. But before we dive into that straight up, let us first understand the meaning of DevOps. What really is DevOps? I know we must have had one or two things about DevOps. People say some things about DevOps, what it means according to their own language. If you've not heard of this before, if you have not heard of the term DevOps before, you're coming across it for the first time. So I'm just going to give a brief or a short definition of DevOps. So before I do that, let's search the web. Let's see the meaning of DevOps. So search what is DevOps. So from what I have here, DevOps is a software development methodology that combines and automates the work of software development and IT operations team to accelerate the delivery of high quality applications and services. It aims to foster coordination and collaboration between development and IT operations team, which traditionally works in silos. So let's check another definition. Let's see what Azure defines DevOps as. Great. So what does DevOps mean for teams? So Azure defines DevOps as DevOps enables formerly siloed roles, that is development, IT operations, quality engineering, and security, to coordinate and collaborate to produce better, more reliable products. By adopting a DevOps culture along with DevOps practices and tools, teams gain the ability to better respond to customer needs, increase confidence in the application they build, and achieve business goals faster. Awesome. So let's take one more definition of DevOps before I give my own definition. Great. So DevOps is a modern way of working in software development in which the development team, that's those who write the code and build the software, and the operations team, which those who set up, run, and manage the software, work together as a single team. So basically, from the three definitions that we've seen now, one thing is predominant in all three. It has to do with collaboration between the development and IT team. But for me, I like to keep things simple. I like my definitions really simple and short. So if you ask me what DevOps is, I would say DevOps is all about working together and using tools to get software to real users faster and with fewer problems. That is the whole summary of what DevOps is trying to achieve. Working together, that's bringing teams, different units of an organization, bringing them to work together and use tools to get that software to the end users faster and with fewer problems. So a little back story. So before DevOps came in, there's usually a long period of time before updates get affected, because for example, now you're using an application and they want to release the version 1.2 or release the version 1.3 of the application. So before it gets to the final user, it goes through a lot of process, and those processes can take, sometimes it can take weeks, sometimes it could even take months before the updates finally get to the final customers. And before then, a lot of things could have actually gone wrong. So what DevOps have come to do is reduce that time that it will take to get applications to the users. It reduces the time, and it also ensures that despite the delivery being faster, the problems are actually reduced, because some people might want to say, oh, is there a trade-off between faster delivery and competent application. No, DevOps has come to give both faster delivery and a problem-free application. So basically, it centers around a culture that makes different teams work together to achieve a common goal. So that is basically a summary of what DevOps does. So I hope that was detailed enough. So from there, now we understand a little bit about what DevOps is. You can actually research on your own to get more insight or to get more knowledge of what DevOps is. DevOps, there's actually no single definition for DevOps, but from everything I've said, it all revolves around the same concept. So different persons will define DevOps in different ways, in the ways they understand. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, so let's go to what we have for today. So today we are starting with the core foundations, which is we're going to be setting up our environment. We are going to be downloading the Linux servers and all the things that we need. So I've listed some things that we actually need to download or actually need to set up before we can kickstart, and that's basically what we'll be doing today. So from what I have here, we have the hypervisor, we have the OS, we have the SSH client, and we have our IDE. So for those who don't actually know what hypervisor means, hypervisor is like a software that enables you to run multiple operating systems on a single or a physical computer. For example, now I use a Windows PC, and most of the things I do in DevOps, I do them with a Linux operating system. But I don't actually have a Linux PC. So how do I achieve that? So apart from going into the cloud and provisioning Linux operating system on AWS or Azure, there's also hypervisors, which are softwares that I can actually set up my Linux operating system on, and then it runs as if it's like you are on the main computer. So basically that's what hypervisors do for you rather. They help you set up different operating systems on your physical host. That's your main PC. So, and for the hypervisors, we have two types. We have VMware and we have Oracle VirtualBox. Those are there are other types, but the two main types that most people work with is VMware and Oracle VirtualBox. So for this particular challenge, we are going to be using VMware, but feel free to use Oracle VirtualBox also. It's basically one and the same. So for the Linux OS, we are going to be using Ubuntu. Ubuntu is my favorite Linux flavor at the moment. So, but you can use other if you're not new to Linux. So whichever OS that you're comfortable with, whatever flavor rather, you can use CentOS, you can use Fedora, you can use RHEL, anyone you want to use. So feel free. It's all one and the same. So for the SSH clients, we use PuTTY, Mobile XTEM, and Tamios. I'll basically be using Mobile XTEM. So what does this SSH client help you do? It's like you can remotely connect to your virtual machine. Say for example, now I set up my Linux operating system on my VMware hypervisor, but I don't want to interact with my operating system on that hypervisor. I could use a remote application to connect to that operating system, and I operate on that remote application as if I'm actually in the main operating system. Whatever thing I create automatically gets created in the main operating system. Whatever thing I delete, whatever changes I make basically gets reflected on your main operating system. So basically these are what SSH client does for you. And for IDE, because we would be writing some codes. When I mean codes, we could write we use it for Python scripting, Bash scripting, Terraform files, Ansible configuration, Kubernetes deployment, and service files. So I prefer writing those things using an IDE, because IDE supports plugins or extensions that helps you write these things faster. So you don't have to really rack your brain. And IDE has some features like VS Code has GitHub Copilot, which can also assist when you're writing your configuration files. So it makes things easier for you. So yes, an IDE is very important. So I'm going to be showing us how we are going to set up all these things, how we are going to download them, and that's basically what we'll be doing today. So let's kickstart. So first off, we'll start by downloading VMware. So you can go to our browser and we'll type. Well, okay. Okay, so it takes us here, and you can see the download page here. If you click on download now, or you click on Windows, so whichever one, if you're using a Windows PC, you'd click on whichever one you want to download. So the download is supposed to start automatically, so we'll be notified when it starts. I'm supposed to see it in my downloads any moment from now. So okay, so this is it. So started downloading. So I'm going to stop this now because I have it already. So if you want to download Oracle VirtualBox, so you can just click on download Oracle VirtualBox. Oracle VirtualBox. Yes. So you can go here, you click on it. So you can choose whichever one you want to download according to the OS of your system. So I use a Windows host. So obviously I'll choose Windows. If you're using Mac OS, you can choose either of the two, depending on which operating system of Mac OS you're using. You're using a Linux distribution and all that. So I'm going to click on Windows host, and I expect that it should start downloading where from now. So yes, I started downloading here. So I'm also going to stop this because I have it installed and downloaded already on my system. So let's go back. What do we need next? All right, so we are going to, now that we have the hypervisor out of the way, let's go to downloading our operating system. So we'll download Ubuntu. So go back to our browser, and we're going to type download Ubuntu, Ubuntu server. So there's actually Ubuntu desktop and there's Ubuntu server. The reason why we are going for Ubuntu server is because most of the operating systems you're going to face in production, they actually be the server version and not the desktop version. The difference between the desktop and the server version is that desktop has a GUI. It's like a normal desktop operating system. It enables you to click through. So you can click through the things, and then you do drag and drop and all that, just like your normal laptop. However, if you're using the server, you can only interact with it using commands. There is no graphical user interface. There is nothing fancy about the server. But that's what makes the server lighter in terms of size. In terms of size, the server is lighter. The desktop version should be about 11 gigabytes or 9 gigabytes. I can't really remember. Why the server version is significantly lesser. You can see it here. You can see it here, 3.6 gigabytes. So you're going to click on this one, download 24.04.2 LTS. That's what I currently use. So when you click on it, it's supposed to start to download immediately. So let's just give it a few seconds, and if you start downloading from okay, so to start downloading, so I'm also going to stop this and cancel it because I have that downloaded already. So the next is the SSH client. So you can pick any of these three. I prefer mobile XTEM, and that's what we're going to be using for this particular challenge. So I'm going to come here again and download mobile XTEM. So you come to click on this particular one. Let's wait for it to load up. Okay, so we download the free version, not the professional, because if you download this one, it obviously to ask you to pay. So you click on download. So you click on this particular anyone. You can choose the portable edition or the standard edition. I go for the portable edition. I've not actually tried this, so I don't know what you're going to face if you try it. But if you're somebody who likes to explore, well, you can give it a try. I'll say. So it's downloading now. I'm going to cancel this now because I have it already. So finally, we are going to download VS Code. So you're also going to come back to our browser and click on download VS Code. Okay, let's try this. Okay. So when you come here, you click on download and you pick your operating system. So if you're using Windows, you click on this. If you're using Debian or Red Hat, you click on either of these. That's if you're using a Linux operating system. If you're using a Mac OS, you can click on this and you download it. So I'm not going to download this because I have it already. So it's supposed to start downloading anytime from now. So here, this is it. So mouse notice piece. So now that we have all of this downloaded, let's begin with the setup. So I'm going to search for VMware workstation. I'm going to open it. So you should see an interface like this. Yours might not be exactly like this. So however yours is looking like, you click on create a new virtual machine. You click on next. You have to browse your the operating system. So I have this. So you just browse to where you downloaded the operating system. So and you choose it. You choose the operating system that you just downloaded. So you click next. You can name it. Let's name it my my Ubuntu server. You can pick any name you want to, and you just click next. So the maximum gigs size. So for me, I like to give it something higher. So from 40 gig. As time goes on, if we need to add, then we can always add to the disk size. So we check if everything is properly set up. We have 2 gig of memory, 2 CPU. Click on finish, and it's going to power on. So give it a couple of minutes for it to come up, and then we'll begin our installation. So the first thing it brings to you is try and install Ubuntu server. So that's what you're going to click. You click enter, and it's going to load up some things. So I'm going to pause the video for all this to load up. Okay, that took about a minute or two to load up. So next is we are to select the language. So of course I'll go for English, but if you want to try out other languages, please feel free. You click enter, and it also asks for the keyboard layout. So I'm going to choose English US. I'll click enter. It's loading, and I'll click done, because it's also, if you notice here, you notice that Ubuntu server is ticked, not Ubuntu server minimize, and not additional options. So just click enter. So it's going to, so here he gives us an IP address. It gives us an IP address 192.168.199.136. So this is the IP address that will be used for inbound and outbound communication. So we click on done. Click on done. So it's going to test or verify our location to confirm that everything is perfectly okay. So let's give it a couple of seconds. Okay. Okay. So we'll click on done. And we're going to scroll down. Just press your down arrow key and click on done. Click on enter rather. So done also. We'll continue. And it's going to ask for your name. So my name is Samuel. My server's name. So I'll give it 100 days of DevOps. Pick a username. The tracks. The password. And the way to confirm password. So also done, click on done and click on continue. So now here you would see installed open SSH server. So you need to actually mark that, because if you don't mark it, you won't be able to SSH into the VM, into your virtual machine. And we need to enable it so that our SSH client, that's those applications that we downloaded, that's the mobile X10, the POTI and Temios, so that they will be able to SSH into this. So all you do is that you click your space key. Your space key would highlight this. Okay, so once you're done that, you scroll down and you click on done. So it's going to ask you to install a bunch of packages. I'm going to leave all this for now. We're only going to install the ones that we need. So click on done and wait for it to confirm all our settings and then commission our VM. Or this might take up to about 3 to 4 to 5 minutes. It might even take longer in your case. So you just have to be patient. So I'm going to pause the video now also, and I'll be back when this has finished loading so we can continue with our setup. Okay, so that took longer than I expected. It took about 30 minutes because I had the issues with my network. So it's finished installing. So what it's going to ask you for now is to reboot. So you have to reboot your virtual machine. Click on reboot now. So it's rebooting. So the whole installation really takes time. So if yours is taking more than 10 to 20 minutes, just be patient. So as long as it keeps moving, it's definitely going to install. It just takes time. So sometimes you might need to check your network. Sometimes you might need to check your data just to be sure that you have stable network and good data for installation to be completed without any issues. So waiting for it to come up. This is loading process. Okay, so login is asking for my login. So I'm going to type the user name that I choose, then that's Vetrax, and it's going to ask for password. So if you notice that there is no graphics or anything with this Ubuntu server, it's just pure white and black. So this is, let me make this whole screen. So this is basically how your server would be. So I don't really feel comfortable interacting with my server this way, though in some cases where you might not have access to those SSH clients, you have to do what you need to do on this server like this. But in most cases, you can actually have access to OT, Mobile Extend, and some further SSH clients. So you can always use that instead of this because they look more appealing to the eyes than just the terminal. So what do I actually need to have SSH access into this server? I need the IP address. Remember when we were installing the operating system, we're given an IP address. So to get that IP address, we'll just type host name. I can see the IP address already, but just host name hyphen capital I. So it gives you the IP address of your host. So you can see 192.168.199.136. So what do I do next? I go to my mobile extend, I launch it, I wait for it to come up. So I'm going to click on session, you click on SSH because you need to choose the session type, so SSH. So remote host is your IP address. This is where you type your IP address 192.168.199.136. So once you do that, you can choose to specify username, you can choose to ignore it, doesn't matter. So I'm going to enter like that, and it's going to give you a prompt. If it brings this prompt, it means that it has successfully seen your VN. If it doesn't bring this prompt, that means probably you didn't input the correct IP address or there's something wrong somewhere. So you accept and then log in as. I'll type that same name, Vetrax. I'm going to put the password. So it's going to ask, do you want to save password for Vetrax? I'll click on yes because I'll be using this often. So let's just make this bigger. As you can see, it looks a little bit more appealing to the eye than just this particular one. So this is just plain white and black. Why your mobile XTM has some colors, and it can make visibility better. So once we have this all set up, next thing we need to do is to update the um update your repository, update the server itself, because there might be some versions of some applications that might be outdated. So you just want to do a general update. So in order to do that, you're going to type the command sudo apt update. So once you do that, it's going to ask you for password. So you complete your password. Okay. So what do I mean by this command I just typed? So sudo means it's like giving an extended privilege or like a higher privilege. So there are some applications that you will not be able to you will not be able to perform some operations on if you're just a basic user. So if you're just a basic user, you will not be able to perform some operations. So I'm going to give you an example. So say for example now I want to do CMD. So if you do CMD, you will see this run as administrator. So if you're running as administrator, you have a higher privilege to do some things than when I just run as a normal user. So basically it's the same with um Linux. So sudo is similar to running as administrator. So you're running with an elevated privilege. So like installation of packages, updating of some packages, there's some file systems that as a normal user you will not be able to go into, or else you have that super user privilege. So basic, that's the essence of this sudo that is here. Apt is just a command for it's like the repository command, like the application command. So for Red Hat, they have DNF, they have yum. Yum is the older command, DNF is a newer command. So that's like one of the few differences between the various flavors of Linux. And update is just as it sounds. So you're updating the your system. You're updating your system by using a super user privilege. So that's basically what this does. So as you can see, it's 71 packages can be upgraded. Run apt lifts are able to see them. So if you want to upgrade, you can still do that. But for now we are actually very fine. So that brings us to the end of today's session. So what we've learned today, we've learned um about DevOps. We've installed the necessary applications to help us in this particular journey, which is the OS and the OS, the SSH client, IDE, and the hypervisor. So also we've also gone through the installation process to install Ubuntu server, and we've been able to SSH into it. So what we did was SSHing. That's for us to use the mobile XTEM. We clicked on SSH. Remember when we clicked on session, we had to click on SSH. So we were able to SSH into the server and we're able to update our server. So that will be all for now. So tomorrow we'll start fully with understanding the Linux file system and also doing some learning about some basic commands in Linux that we'll be needing in our DevOps journey. So I'm going to see you tomorrow. Till then, have a nice time. Cheers.